Okay, right, so I'm going to share my screen and start from the very beginning. So here we go. And the very beginning in this instance is Trello.com. So first things first, when you're logging in, because we're working with the Blue Ventures Google accounts, you don't want to log in with your email and password, as you see here. You want to log in with Google, provided that you are logged into your Blue Ventures Google account. And then once you have logged in with Google, you come to your Trello homepage. Now, you two are both members of the Blue Ventures team, but new people to Trello will have to be added to the Blue Ventures team by one of the admins. And once that's the case, they'll be able to see the Blue Ventures boards we have down here as you're added to them. So right at the beginning, you'll only have one welcome board on your personal boards. Any board that you create that isn't part of any team will also be under personal boards. And any board that you add a star to, as so, will go to starred boards along the top. Okay. If once you're a member of the Blue Ventures team, to view all of the Blue Ventures boards, you can just go to boards here and see the whole list of all of Blue Ventures boards, but they'll only appear on your Trello homepage if you've been added as a member of those boards. Yeah. Right. So we're going to go into the Trello training board. And as you can see, it's very, very empty, but this is a board. And on the right here is the board menu. And this is where you can add members. So Seal and Rindra, as you guys are on this call, I'll do examples of you. There we go. You're now both members of this board. You can change backgrounds if you want something a bit more fancy or basic, depending on what you want. And okay, the menu, when you close it, is just sitting on the top right here. So now, when you have boards, you also have lists. You can see I can add a list here, and you can have lists that go along the top. You can add as many of them as you want. And then on lists, you have cards. And again, you create cards and they go vertically down the list. So, for example, I'll create some cards. And you can move cards very easily to list, just by clicking and dragging them. Okay, so that's the basics. We've got the board, we've got the lists, and we've got the cards in each list. So now I'm going to, as you saw on my Trello home page, this was in my personal boards. It wasn't part of a team. So I'll show you privacy settings for this board. You got here. You can see that it's under private right now. But if I go to team and select the only team I'm part of, which is Blue Ventures, and now you see I've got two options here. I can make the board visible to the team, and I can allow any team member to join this board. Now, because this isn't relevant to anyone else right now, I'm not going to make this visible. I'm not going to allow any team member to join it. So now it's a Blue Ventures board, as you can see there. It's got a little Blue Ventures logo, but it's private. So only people I add are going to know that this board exists. But if it is a board that involves a lot of different people and you want people to come and go at will, then you can just go to here and make it team visible. But like I said, I won't do that for now. Okay. So inside a card is the next thing. If I click on card 1, you can see it opens up. And here it is, I have it in front of me. So the first thing one can do on a card is add a little description on the top just to give some basic information. So nothing special for this one for me, I'm afraid, just this is a card, just as an example. Now, I'm going to go down this column and show you what you can do on a card. First thing you can do is add members. So this is, I guess, documenting who is involved in this particular task. So let's say, oh, I'm involved, so I'll make myself a member. This also means that if anything happens on this card, I will get a notification about it. Just quickly show you notification. The top right-hand corner here, you can see I have many, but if anything else happens on this card, then I will receive a notification about it. Okay, the next thing you can do is add a label. So none of these labels, this is a new board, new Trello board, so none of these labels have any meaning yet, but I can create one. Let's call this one training, green, and there we go. I can now add that label, and you can also see the label here. By the way, I get out of the card simply by clicking in a blank space outside the card just to exit it, or press the cross, of course. You can add multiple labels. Let's say I wanted this one to be you can see you've got different labels. Now, this is obviously nice and visual and helps with organization of tasks, but it does have other useful things to do with it that I'll go into later in terms of filtering. But for now, it's just it's just a way of designating tasks to certain labels as you create them. Okay, next thing, checklist. First, I want to title the checklist. So let's say this is to-do list. And then you can add items. So you can see they disappear. You can copy and paste these out of an Excel document if you want, and it will all appear in the to-do list as well. And then as you complete them, you can tick them off, and you'll see it will tell you how many are completed. You can see this, you see 2 out of 3 completed on the outside as well. And on the inside, when you have completed them, there we go, it goes nice and green. Ticks the box for you. Your to-do list is done. Due date is the next thing. If I wanted to set this to be due at 4 p.m. today or tomorrow, there we go. The due date appears at the top. And if I have managed to finish this before the due date, I can just click it, and there we go. It goes nice and green as well. This will change color as the due date gets nearer and nearer. So if I was to make it today, it's yellow. It'll get red closer to the time, and you will get notifications as due dates get nearer. So that is a useful thing. An example of what to do, I guess, as an organizational tool once you've completed your due date, completed your to-do list. Nice to have a completed list, so you can get to whiz the card over there, and it's done. Or I'm skipping a couple of things, so you can always go ahead and archive it, but I guess I'll get to that in a bit. Okay, attachments. Nice and simple. When you want to attach something, you can attach any link, so any hyperlink from the internet, or something from my computer, Google Drive, etc. I'll just give a brief example. If I wanted to attach Blue Ventures website link. There it is. So now people can open the card, open the link, and it's nice and easy. If you have attached an image, so again, I'll give a quick example of this. No? You can see that it automatically goes to the top, and you can actually see it on the board. Now that's quite a useful tool for visually organizing a board, but if it makes the card too clunky and you don't want it there, you can just remove cover here, and you can see that it's still there as a downloadable attachment, but it's no longer visible. And then you can make it cover again. If you want it to cover, remove. Nice and easy. Okay, next on this one, we've got move. Now you can obviously move cards around boards, especially simple boards, with relative ease. But if your board is complex, or if you want to move it from one board to another board, this is a very useful tool. You can see that I can select any of the boards I'm part of. Let's say I wanted to move it to my own personal board. I can then choose what list, because these are all the lists on my personal board. And then even I can choose what position on the list I want it to be. So that is useful if you want to move cards from one board to another. Copy is exactly the same function, only the list stays where it is, and obviously a new one is generated where you want it to go. Now, subscribe. Subscribe, in a sense, is similar to being a member, but your face doesn't appear on the card. You'll still get notifications from anything you've subscribed to, but it's not clear and obvious to everyone that that is your designated task. So, good thing for managers to use. If, for example, your team is working on a particular task and you want to get notifications about how they're doing, but don't want to muddy the waters in terms of whose responsibility this task is, and you can subscribe to a card without becoming a member. Members automatically subscribe to cards instantly. It's not just cards you can subscribe to. If you go to the list menu, which is here on each list, you can also subscribe to lists as well as copy and move lists. And you can subscribe to whole boards. If you go to the menu, go to more, and go to subscribe. So that means you'll get notifications about any activity on the board. So maybe not for particularly complicated boards. Okay, what is next?
Just one question, Ben.
Of course, what's up?
For like, if you edit the card and you have a text and you want one word to be actually a link, I was explained already that you need to put brackets and I don't know, but where do you find the?
Okay, so there is a way of doing, when you're in the description or in the comments, doing sort of Trello's own code and making text,
Formatting.
Exactly. But I guess because we're sort of going through the more simpler stuff now, moving on to more complex stuff later, I think I'll leave that for a little bit, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay, so if you want to archive a card, so you might have moved it to the completed list, but then you just want to get rid of it completely, just click archive, and there it goes. Now, provided you don't click delete, which will make it go away permanently, you can still find archived items by going to menu, more, archived items. So it's not gone from it, but it is gone from the board. You can bring it back if you want to. Okay. One more thing in cards, you have an activity history, which will go down the bottom as more things happen, just to keep you up to date with what's been happening on the card. And you can write comments, and these comments will get back up. So, as an example, you can see it appears in the activity history. And you can also tag people, doing @ and their name. And you'll see that you've been tagged, and you'll get a notification that I have tagged you. So that's a way of getting individuals to get notifications about certain things. Okay. Right. We will now move on to some of the, that's basic Trello, what we've done here. So some of the more advanced stuff we have on the menu, something called power-ups. If you're just a regular Trello member, which most of the Blue Ventures will be, you to add one power-up to the board or enable one power-up. The ones we normally use, there are lots of different applications. The ones that Blue Ventures normally uses are Google Drive. So I will enable that as an example. And then you'll see that when I'm in a card, I now have the Google Drive power-up. And that enables me to, I'd have to link my Drive account, so I'm going to do that in a different board. Just as an example, let's go to the Commons calendar. Okay, so once I've used the power up, I can then go through my Google Drive folders And then if I did want to attach one, it would appear as a spread out drive folder as opposed to a single attachment, which is what would happen if you use the attachment tool. You will see this happening on different Blue Ventures boards, and some people like it and some people don't. So I guess experiment with whether or not you think that works for you. And that's basically the rule of any of the power-ups. You can, maybe you're an Evernote user or Dropbox, or there's a Hangouts power-up as well. But as a general rule / non-rule, just try them all out and see which one works for you. As you can see, I can only add one to this board, but if you do decide you want more than one power-up on a board, then someone who's a Trello business or a Trello Gold account will be able to add. So Martin is someone to get in touch with if that's something you want to do.
Yeah, so generally the power-ups that we would use are the Google Drive one, also the calendar function, which means that you can see all of your due dates in a nice
calendar one now.
And then a mix of either the Dropbox ones or there are particular other ones, but generally the Drive one is the most important power-up that we use.
This is just demo with deadlines on the calendar view. There we go. Okay, next thing, filters. I mentioned this earlier. When you have quite complex, let's turn the filtering off. When you have quite complex boards,
Ben, I didn't understand well. Power ups, several or only one per?
So
what did you say?
Normal users can only enable one, but I can enable 3 on a board. So if you want more than one, just let me know and I'll add them.
Okay.
Okay, so for filtering, if you have a complex board, such as this operating plan, which has multiple lists, multiple cards, all very big and complicated, filtering is a way of simplifying and making it easier to see what you're involved in. So you go to the menu again, and you go to filter cards, and then you can either filter by label or by person. So if I wanted to filter by the card I am specifically a member of, you can see it already becomes much simpler because I'm not a member of too many cards. You can do that with anyone who is a member of the board. Or if you wanted to do it with labels, there you go, I've just done it for the green label. Again, you can see that suddenly the board is much more simple. So in that way, you can design your labels to be how you want in terms of what the board's purpose is, and then filter as you want as well. I will go back to the training board. Okay, another thing you can do, share and more. So this is on the card menu. Go share and more at the bottom. You've got the specific link for this card. So if you wanted to link someone directly to this card, to card 2 on Trello training board, that is the link you'd use. And then underneath that, you've got email for this card. Now, what this would do is that if you emailed to this address that you've got here, it will appear as a comment on this card, your email. And there's an equivalent for the whole board, which I'll show you now. You go to the menu and you go to more. Again, you've got a link to this board, so that's if you want to link someone to the board. And email to board settings is here. So when you email this address, the emailed cards will appear in, and you can choose the list they appear in, and you can choose the position on the list. So right now, if I was to email this address right now, my email would appear in list 1, so that's here, right at the top. So that's a way of taking tasks directly from your inbox and moving them to Trello. Nice and easy, without having to type them all up again. Okay, for more information, we've got Trello themselves do quite a good guide. It's at trello.com/guide, G-U-I-D-E, and they have lots of different bits of information about some of the more complex things of Trello. There's also a mobile app, which you should definitely download. It enables you to access all of your boards and cards from your phone. And another nifty trick if you press the question mark key on your keyboard, the keyboard shortcuts come up. And you can decide which, if any of these, you want to use. Some of them are useful. Maybe someone considers them useful.
Q is the most useful, I think. If you press Q at any point, it shows all of your own filtered cards on a board. But other than that, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to come back to... Ooh, that's scary and horrible. Let's not do that.
That's mad.
It's really bad.
Ben is back.
I'm back. Hi. Okay. There are lists on Trello.com that I'll be able to provide for you in terms of the codes that you can add to descriptions and comments to make different things happen in text, including links and underlines and bullet point lists. Yeah, there's not, unfortunately, not sort of thing I can really describe over Hangouts. But if anyone does want access to this list again, then please. And I think for Trello basics and little tips and tricks, that is pretty much it. Do you have any questions?
Can you repeat the link to the guide?
I will send it your way, Cecile.
Ah, okay. Do you have questions, Rindra?
No, not for the moment.
We need
And
to practice.
Practice to do some training.
Yeah, absolutely. Practice makes perfect. Anything to add, Martin?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, just let us know if you have any questions is the other thing, of course. We're always happy to help out. Or if there's anything you want to do, but don't have.
So like if you link with Power Apps, like if you link with Evernote, how does it means what? It means we'll have Trello cards,
So basically it would just mean that the Evernote note is embedded in that little links bit on the card so that you can link off to it quickly. And it would still always work through Evernote or through Google Drive or whatever. It's just a way of showing those files that are related to that bit of work or that card in the same place so that it's all kind of neat and handy.
Creating links actually. Yeah. You can create a card to OneNote in Evernote.
Yeah.
And the calendar with Google Calendar, meaning if you have things like deadlines on Trello or Google Calendar, this doesn't.
No, it's not linked.
Like that.
So it is possible to make that integration happen, but you have to do it through a third-party piece of software. So.
Well, we need to ask you to do it.
Yeah, we've not done it for any cards yet, but we could do. So for like the Madagascar Ops Plan board, we could think about doing that and creating a new calendar that it links to. Yeah. Okay, right. I'm going to take us off of the internet. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.